Fellow sports gamblers out there, this is Wager Detective, May 15th, 2026. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Wager Detective Report. Be sure to click the like button, subscribe. Also follow Wager Detective on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Set alerts for Twitter for daily content and betting strategies and tips, and the Wager Detective Report. Okay, let's get into this matchup right here. We got the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Washington Nationals here tonight in Washington, and we're going to break this down, and you're going to look at some key stats. You're going to hear things that most cappers aren't doing when they cap. You are dealing with. Listen to me when I'm telling you. Come down the Atlantic City anytime you want and learn from one of the greatest cappers in the world. And it's really not bravado. It's just confidence in what I do. And I'm not better than anybody else. Nobody else is better than me. Nothing to that regard. But when you're dealing with one of the sharpest minds in the game, Wager Detective is it. And just only really been on social media for a little bit, but been told by many people, fellow peers and colleagues that are in this game, that I should have done this a long time ago, and I'm starting to gain ground and traction, blah, 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 but one of the sharpest minds in the game. And let's get into this report, and you tell me. Drop your comments in the chat on who you think is going to win this game. But here we go. Baltimore versus Washington. On the year, the Orioles are 20-24 on the year. They're 8-12 on the road. 4-6 in one-run games, and 5-7 in interleague play. The Orioles, okay, right now, in road night games this year, they're 5-6, 6 over, 5 under in those games. They're scoring 4.18 runs per game to 5.27. That comes out to 9.45. Before we get further in this gap, the Orioles are a minus 138 favorite, and the Nationals are coming back at plus 118 per FanDuel, and the over-under is set at 9.5. So, Orioles 5-6 in their last 11 road night games, 6 over, 5 under, that 9.5. They're scoring 4.18 runs per game to 5.27 for their opponents in this split. Again, 9.45 runs per game in their road night games. In their last 9 overall, the Orioles are 5-4. 2 over, 7 under, that 9.5. They're scoring 4.22 runs per game to their opponents' 3.77 runs per game. Comes out to 8 runs per game average over the Orioles' last 9 games overall. Now, every cap that Wager Detective does is going to have a situational aspect to it, and this is what this one is for this game. The Orioles, in their last 9 home to road with one day off in between, they're 4-5 in those games. 4-5. So 1 over, 8 under to the 9.5. 2.44 runs per game for the Orioles in this split to 3.55 for their opponents. Comes out to 6 runs per game average. So home to road for the Orioles, their last 9 with a day off in between, they're 4-5, 1 over, 8 under. In their last 5 home to road games with a day off in between, they're 1-4. Scoring only 2.5 runs per game average to 4.6 for their opponents. So you got to imagine something's going to give there as we look at this pitching matchup. I already know the cap. I got the cap in my mind because I have already wrote out the report as I'm reading it. So if you look at that, they're scoring 4.22 in their last 9 overall for the Orioles, and they're scoring 4.18 in road night games. So an indication that they're only going to score 2.5 here when you hear about the pitching matchup that they'll be facing, I doubt it. So as we get into the cap, we'll see. But they are 1-4 in their last 5 home to road series where they have a day off in between. Now, we look at the Orioles, they're 1-4 in Shane Baz's last 5 outings. Shane Baz is going to be on the mound tonight for the Orioles, and the Orioles are 1-4 in those games. And on the year, the Orioles are 2-6 in Shane Baz's outings this year. So 2-6 for the Orioles when Shane Baz starts, and they're 1-4 in their last 5 Shane Baz outings. 2 over and 3 under in the last 5 outings for Shane Baz. Orioles are only scoring 3 runs a game to 6.2 for their opponents in those meetings. 15 runs to 31 runs for their opponents in their last 5 games when Baz starts. In Baz's last 5 outings, 28.1 innings pitched, 30 hits, 19 earned runs, 14 walks, and 25 Ks. That comes out to a 6.04 ERA, 1.55 WHIP, and a 1.27 home runs per 9 for Baz in his last 5 outings. The Orioles are 0-4 when Baz starts on 5 days rest this year. 1 over, 3 under. So as we've seen there, the unders are starting to come in on the home-to-road split with the day off in between for the Orioles. And then the Orioles, last 5 with Baz starting, also an under, just barely, but just coming in at 9.2 runs per game between both teams. And then we look at this one, Orioles 0-4, 5 day when Baz starts on 5 days rest, 1 over, 3 under. In those 4 games with Baz on 5 days rest this year, he has 21.1 innings pitched, has given up 24 hits, 13 earned runs, 3 home runs, and 11 walks. That comes out to a 5.49 ERA, a 1.64 WHIP, and a 1.26 home runs per 9 metrics for Baz in his 4 starts on 5 days rest this year. So most people are probably saying, man, this has got to be a national spot. You know, you look at all those metrics, they're not, and we didn't get into this either, as I'm mentioning this. The Orioles are 3-7 in their last 10 versus the Nationals. Okay? 3.2 runs per game to 5.55 for the Nationals, comes in at 8.7. Now, if we look at the Nationals, so 3-7 in their last 10. Hold on. Okay, no, excuse me. Rewind the last 10 seconds of this. The Orioles are 4-6 in their last 10 versus the Nationals. 3.2 runs per game to 5.5. That comes out to 8.7 runs per game in their last 10 meetings. And when we look at their last 11, we look at the Orioles, their last 11 at the Nationals. They are 6-5 in their last 11 at the Nationals, but another case for the under. 3 over and 8 under in those games in the last 11 meetings in Washington. Orioles are scoring 3.72 runs per game to 4 runs per game for the Nationals. Comes out to a 7.72. Now, if you add their last 10 meetings and then their last 11 at the Nationals, the last 11 meetings there, that comes out to a medium of 8.21 runs per game between the last 10 overall and the last 11 at Washington. So we're building a case for the under. It doesn't look that way when you talk about the Orioles and the pitching and who's going to be out there tonight. Like we said, the Orioles are 0-4 in Baz's starts this year on 5 days rest, and Baz has a 5.49 ERA, 1.64 WHIP, and a 1.26 home runs per 9 in his 4 starts on 5 days rest this year. He hasn't looked good. I thought he was going to be decent when he was with Tampa Bay, but he obviously, I don't know if there's something wrong with him. I don't know what the case may be. Let's get into this cap and look at the Nationals this year. The Washington Nationals, 21-23 on the year. Here's the case for the Orioles. The Nationals are only 6-13 at home this year, and they're 11-18 versus right-handed pitching. Whereas on the road they're better, and then they're 10-5 against left-handed pitching. So different metrics for where they're at. 6-13 at home and 11-18 versus right-handed pitching, and that's who they're going to be seeing tonight in Shane Baz. They are 7-6 in one-run games, and they're 4-2 in interleague play. So they're better than the Orioles in one-run games, where they're 7-6. The Orioles are only 4-6. The Orioles are 5-7 in interleague play, and the Nationals are 4-2. So the Orioles have a little bit more experience, but also more losses. Marginally less losses, couple games below 500, and then the Nationals 4-2 in interleague play, better but smaller sample size. Now, in home night games for this year, also for the Nationals, 3-6 in home night games for the Nationals this year, but 8 over and 1 under. Listen to these scores. In 9 night games for the Nationals, home night games for the Nationals this year, where they're 3-6, they're scoring 6.67 runs per game to 7 runs per game for their opponent. Their opponent in these 9 home night games for the Nationals are scoring 6+ runs in 7 of those games, whereas the Nationals are scoring 6+ runs in 5 of their home 9 night games this year. So, and them night games have come against Atlanta, San Francisco, St. Louis, Milwaukee, and Minnesota. So not really teams that are great. San Francisco, not really that great. St. Louis, I think before the end of the year, we'll see the Orioles their batting average and their metrics be better than St. Louis and better than Minnesota. I mean, the only 2 on that list that I think are better than the Orioles and will be throughout the year are Milwaukee and Atlanta. So they give up a lot of runs. So last 9 overall for the Nationals, they are 5-4, 7 over, 2 under. They're scoring 6.22 runs per game over their last 9 games, and their opponents are scoring 6.55 runs per game. That comes out to a combined 11.77 runs per game between the Orioles and the Nationals. And those games came against Cincinnati, Miami, and Minnesota. So if you're giving up a lot of runs against these guys and they're scorching you, I definitely believe the Orioles have a better lineup than Cincinnati, Miami, and Minnesota. And by the end of the year, go back to this report and tell me that I'm not right on 2 out of those 3, if not all 3 of those. So the Orioles, better lineup. You could see it. Henderson, Ward, Rushman, Alonso in there. Basallo, low-key, good batter. Tavares, low-key. And don't get it wrong, Washington's got a lineup too, man. I mean, if you look at both these teams, I would say the Nationals have the better lineup between them and Baltimore. They just got some killers in the lineup. And if you look at it, they're throwing the kitchen sink as far as left-handed bats against these Orioles tonight, where 4 of the first 5 batters will be from the left side of the plate. So, getting into the cap, let's just refresh it. Again, Nationals 3-6 in home night games this year. They're 5-4 in their last 9 overall. Now, when we get into this part of the cap, what do the Nationals do? In their last 5 road to home series with no rest in between, they'll be coming into this game with no rest, whereas the Orioles had a day off. All right? Had a day off coming from home to the road, whereas you're coming off the road in a road series, and now you're coming off the road, now you're coming home, but you have no rest. That leads to the Orioles part of this cap, and as we get further into this cap and we look at the pitching, you'll see why I might be leaning the Orioles here. But if you look, in those games, they're 2-3 going from the road to home, and that first game back with no rest, they're 2-3, scoring an average of 4.8 runs per game to 6.8 for their opponents, comes out to 11.6 combined runs in those games. So they're getting beat by 2 runs per game in their last 5 in that situation. And they're 0-2 in that situation this year. The other 3 came last year. So, and in those games, all those games, 3 went over and 2 went under. So even with the 2 that went under, they're still averaging over those 5, 4.8 for the Nationals and 6.8 for their opponents. And if we look at the Nationals, they are 2-3 in the last 5 outings by Zach Littell in his starts, 4 over, 1 under. In those games where Littell starts in his last 5, the Nationals are scoring 5.6 runs per game to 7.6 for their opponent. So another metric where they're losing by a couple runs, right? It gives us pause for concern with the Nationals if we like them here. Now in Littell's last 5 outings this year where he starts, 23.2 innings pitched, he's given up 33 hits, 22 earned runs, 11 home runs, 9 walks, and has only struck out 15 batters. That comes out to an 8.38 ERA, a 1.77 whip, and he's giving up 4.19 home runs per 9 over his last 5 starts this year. That's a major red flag, so something to think about. And the Nationals this year, when Littell starts on 5 days rest, the Nationals are 2-1 in those games. Littell has pitched 13.2 innings pitched, has given up 15 hits, 8 earned runs, 5 home runs, and 6 walks with only 10 Ks in those 13.2 innings pitched on 5 days rest this year. That comes out to a 5.29 ERA, a 1.54 whip, and 3.3 home runs per 9 over his games this year on 5 days rest. Guys, that's the cap right there. If I'm going to take a side right here, I know it's hard to lay minus 138 with the way that Baz has been pitching. But if you look at Baz's career, I got to expect some kind of positive regression. I mean, I really, really do. And he hasn't pitched good this year. Like I said, in his last 5 outings, the Orioles are 1-4. They're getting beat by 3 runs to 6.2 against their opponents. He does have a 6.04 ERA, a 1.55 whip, and a 1.27 home runs per 9. But if you look at what Littell was doing, Littell in his last 5 outings has an 8.38 ERA, which is about two runs less on the ERA than what Baz has done over his last 5. He has a 1.77 whip, whereas Baz has a 1.55. It's marginally better, but look at this. A 4.19 home run per 9 for Littell over his last 5 outings, whereas Baz has only given up 1.27 home runs. I know that lineup is dangerous. I know it's going to be tough. But we said the Nationals not good at home this year, 6-13. That's something to think about. Whereas the Orioles not bad in road night games this year, 5-6, scoring 4.18 to 5.27 for their opponents. I think there's going to be runs in this game. I think no matter how you look at it, but I do believe it'll be the Orioles at the end that are going to come out in this game, considering the situation as well. Having a day off from coming home to the road, they go to Washington, not that far away from Baltimore to Washington. So you have a day off, whereas the Nationals are coming off of a road trip and they're coming home where they're not good, and they're not good against right-handed pitching. Wager Detective is going to call the Orioles here. I want to see right here if I can find, if my phone doesn't want to give it to me, I'm just going to call it here. I've been having a hard time getting into my account here. Let's take a look and see if we can. If you look at all those metrics and you really add it all up, I think 138, you're going to get a lot of people and not going to give it to me. That's fine. My pig phone's not going to give it to me right now. Okay, so let's go back to this. Let's go back to this and get back to the cap. So if we look at it, I could see Alonso going yard. I could see Rushman going yard. I mean, they're throwing switch hitters against him too, and he's going to be seeing some right-handed bats. But I mean, you got some left-handers in that lineup. Alonso could put one out of the yard. I got to go with the Orioles here. I know the Nationals have been playing a little bit better over their last 9, right? But, hey, listen, they're both 5-4 in their last 9. It's just the fact that the Orioles are scoring a little less than what the Nationals are, but the Nationals are giving up way more runs per game over their last 9 than what the Orioles are. Give Wager Detective as his stronger play, the Baltimore Orioles, to go into Washington tonight and win this game at a -138. I know it's a little chalky, but listen, if you're betting chalk and you're getting an edge like this, I do believe that you can double down on that chalk as you go, and chalk doubles down just as fast. Maybe not as fast as plus money plays, but that's Wager Detective's call right here, right now at the 17-minute mark. The Wager Detective here on 5/15/2026 is calling the Baltimore Orioles to beat the Washington Nationals. And for this game, the 9.5 is a little sketchy, right? What you might want to do instead of just taking the over 9.5, I do think the Orioles do win this game by a 1.5 here, but the stronger play here is Wager Detective calling the Orioles -138 on the money line. This is Wager Detective. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. And when you follow me on Twitter, please join the Wise Guys Gambling Syndicate. It's a spin-off of the Wager Detective and what he's got going on there. And you got a detective and you got a Wise Guys Gambling Syndicate. Wager working with the Wise Guys Gambling Syndicate and really trying to find the edge in these betting games. So here we go. Thank you for tuning in. I love all my fans out there, and I'll talk to you soon.